Looking for clarity and confidence when it comes to decision making for your business? You've come to the right place. You're now listening to the Atomic Business Coaching Podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We are pumped. Adam, how are you doing today, man?
Me, it is the day after the United States of America's election. We're finally moving forward to another chapter. I'm sure some people are happy, some people are sad, but here's the thing. Every passing moment is another opportunity to make the most out of everything. And I butchered the Vanilla Sky quote there, but the idea is what are we doing? Like, what are we actually doing? And are we informed? And do we know what we're about to take on in our lives, in our businesses? And that's why we have these Q&A sessions, because our amazing community of Project 2740 has incredible questions, and they want to have the ability to start making the changes in their life. But it's mainly about information. And that's what we were talking about today with one of our other clients, right, Tom? About, like the lack of information in society is what makes it so difficult to make progress in anything, whether it's your business or your life or your mental, satisfaction, or your mental, what would you call it, Tom? Mental what?
Your mental acuity, your mental awareness.
Just any of that. It's usually due to a lack of information. So that's why we do these Q&As. And look, we can answer some questions. Sometimes we answer all of them. Sometimes we use our members to answer those. And that's what we're here doing today. So thank you all who are tuning in. We see some people in the chat there. And we have our two guests today. So we're going to have them introduce themselves. So you're going to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and where they can find you. So why don't you go ahead, Curt?
My name is Curt Sassak, former chef turned life and career strategist. You can find me on LinkedIn. In a nutshell, I help people find or divorce their unhappy career and find one they love, along with some, a little garnish of personal development in there.
Love it, man.
I love how we threw the garnish in there. I like it. You could tell he was a chef.
He even had to get a Salt Bay, like that.
Oh,
All right, Will.
My name is Will Hedgpeth. I am a financial advisor with Craft Wealth Services. So I help young families and young professionals get on the right track with their finances to reach their goals in the long term. I am taking a hiatus from socials. So the best way is probably to find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the only one I'm checking fairly regularly. But yeah, I love talking to people about their goals and kind of how to make those things happen for them.
Nice, good. And we'll put all that information in the show notes so anybody can get it. All right, so who are we starting with today, Tom?
Let's start with Mr. Sassak.
All right. So those of you who haven't tuned into this before, our clients, whether they are here live or in the chat, or some of them have previously submitted questions, and then Tom and I will go through and answer them and hopefully bring them to wherever they are looking to go. So go ahead, Curt. What do you got?
Where do you want me to start?
Whatever question you have for us. This is the Q&A session. It's your opportunity to ask us whatever question is burning a hole in
that bald head, brain of yours.
There you go.
Yes. Well, where there's less resistance without hair.
It's true.
Right? So I can think better. It's the airflow. Okay, so question, let's do about when you are, here's a good one. Adam, you did a post, and I have it in my L notes here, as you say in Spanish, L note. And you did a post last week about, because this is important for anybody selling anything. Last week you did a post about value and how Ferrari doesn't compare itself to Toyota. So can you expound on how people do better at, showing their value and their worth? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And that post was mainly about, we were close. It's a Lamborghini and Toyota, but Ferrari doesn't matter. It all makes the same sense. And what we were trying to get across there is that nobody walks into a Lamborghini dealership and says, this is a nice car and all, but I could get a better deal with a Toyota. It's a much lower price, right? So when someone has a very high value, the people that are looking to purchase that aren't coming in shopping for price. What they're doing is shopping for the value, and that value is usually already known. There's like, okay, I know how much this is worth. So when the price is presented to me, they're not shocked. Okay, so that's what we're getting after here, is that too many people are worried about, oh my gosh, they keep saying my price is too high or this. Well, you're talking to the wrong people because you haven't yet given them the perception of what your value is. And sometimes people are trying to sell before they've actually presented what their value is. And you have to have an ability, whether it's baked into your industry, like Will is in financial services. People understand the value of that already. Okay. What he charges versus what somebody else charges may be different. And that could be based on the value they're going to add. But no one's going to walk in thinking it's free. They're not going to be like, hey, I'm going to buy life insurance or I'm going to invest in my retirement and it's free. They're going to have somewhat of an idea. There's a value behind me paying somebody else to steward me through my financial journey, right? So they're going to have that idea. When someone is buying something and they're rate shopping, they're price shopping, that typically means there's a lot of it out there and they just want to get the best deal, okay? They're saying, all right, I don't want to overpay for this thing. A Lamborghini and a Toyota are essentially the same exact thing. They're a vehicle. There's actually, when you really boil it all down, there's not much of a difference to it. Yeah, one is much, much faster and it's more handcrafted and it's definitely more beautiful to most people. Okay, but outside of that, it's just a vehicle that takes you from point A to point B. You put gas in it, you maintain it, and that's it. Okay, there's no real major difference, but there's a value in a Lamborghini to people. It's a status symbol. It is exhilarating to be inside of. It is a sense of like, look at me, right? There's a lot of things to it. But if you just needed to get to grandma's house for Thanksgiving, it doesn't matter how you get there, right? So there's no additional value of the Lamborghini over the Toyota. Is there? No. What you have to do is understand, have you presented enough value in what you do to the marketplace? And can you back that up? Now, Lamborghini can back that up. Right. But can you and whatever you're selling actually back that up? Tom and I have spent a combined 4+ decades crafting our knowledge, our expertise, our systems, our processes, how we coach, how we educate, how we can be compassionate. Like we've spent the time doing that. That's why we're worth a certain amount more than other people. That's also why people like maybe a Tony Robbins are worth more than us. Okay. There's a different value to those. Okay, so we have to really present that out there to the market first. And then the people won't be like, well, hey, I could get a better deal if I went with them. And that's what that was really about. Does that answer your question, Curt?
Yeah, if I could can I do a quick follow-up to that?
Sure.
So this could apply to anybody who's probably in 2740. When you're newer, let's say, you know what I do? I do career and life coaching, right? So let's say you're new. You don't have that history. You don't have the case studies or whatever. What do you recommend to people who are newer in their business in terms how they can communicate that?
I love it.
Yeah.
Great. So the thing is, you have to know your worth.
Right.
Right. There's a lot of people that have this perceived value of themselves, and there actually isn't any. Okay. And you have to earn that. And that, you may be newer, but you bring some value to the table. Okay. So you're going to bring some value to the table, but how valuable are you? And Tom, tell them how much did we charge for our first client at Atomic Business Coaching?
$0.
And explain why, Tom.
So when we first started coaching, we wanted to have a proof of concept. So in order to have a proof of concept, we had to take a client on that we did not feel like we needed to charge to get that proof of concept because we had never done it before. But then once we did it and it was successful, because now that person makes multi-six figures a year and we have proven the proof of concept, we understood our value and were able to charge our next client what we understood to be the value that we deserved and what our value and what our worth was for bringing somebody to that position. So it really comes down to, you have to understand, like Adam says, you have to understand what your worth is. But sometimes you have to test it, especially when you're new. And that's why we encourage you, especially when you're a new business owner, if you offer services and you don't sell products, if you offer a service, you should offer that service sometimes for free. Give the advice for free. Show people how valuable the conversation is with you, especially you, Curt, as a coach. You want to show people the value in the conversation and in your expertise, because you may not have the case studies, but you have all the expertise. And this is where a lot of new business owners get caught up in, not necessarily just imposter syndrome, but they're always comparing themselves to other people in the market, and they're trying to identify their value through the comparison to other people. When you have to really define the value that you bring to someone based on your experience, your expertise, right? Someone can go with Will, who's a financial advisor, because maybe he made them a lot of money or they have no idea what he could do for them. But it's in how he communicates his value, his expertise, and what he brings to the table that someone would be able to make a decision on what they would want to see happen with him as their advisor. So you have to just bring the value that you have. You have experience. Experience is always the best thing for any value proposition. Your experience, like Adam just said, we have cultivated 40 years of experience combined. Adam mostly in business and finance, financial services and all the like, and advising businesses. Me in running operations for companies, for very multi-million dollar companies. And being able to do that, I have learned what my value is because I had that experience. Does that answer it further for you?
All right.
Thank
So you know what I'm going to do here is we had a question about this in the chat. So here, let me put it on here. All right. So Tommy asks, what if it's a product-based service? So Tommy, think about how many times you've gone to let's say a BJ's or a Costco. Okay. I don't know if you've ever been there, but when you walk around, what are those people doing as you walk around? There's people at the end caps. Curt, what do those people do at BJ's and Costco?
They get samples.
How much do they charge for those samples? They're free. Okay, exactly. So they're giving out these free samples and like, hey, here, try that. When you go to your doctor, don't they usually give you this little bag with stuff in that with samples of whatever your hemorrhoid cream needs to be, or for me and Curt, that bald stuff that never worked. They give you these samples, right?
the
And
propane
it's like, okay, what you're doing in the sample thing is you're allowing someone to be like, wow, that's great. I'm gonna buy it again. Okay, that's the idea. I just got a Christmas sampler package from a company called Element about their new flavors that are hot beverages instead of cold. And I'll try them. And if I like them, you know what's going to happen. I'm going to buy more. So product, it's the same thing. You're giving these things away. They're called giveaways. Okay. Now listen, I want everybody to understand. I don't expect everybody here to just go start giving all their shit away for free. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about understanding what you're worth and then building upon that as you grow. The last client Tom and I closed, it was $80,000 for a 12-year long coaching program. Well, we did
12
not
months.
charge that. I'm
That's
sorry,
12,
what did I
that's
say?
12 years. We're not doing 12
months.
years for 80 grand.
12 years.
That'd be Jesus. We really undercut our value there.
Yeah, no, thank you for the question. Yeah, 80,000 for 12 months. So what happened is, look, Tom and I didn't charge that last month. We didn't charge that last year. It's for this particular client, the value that we were giving them was worth much more money, and they perceive that because of previous work they've done with us. They're like, wow, this really makes sense for me to pay you that kind of money because of where we're bringing them. So you earn that over time. You earn that through your branding. You earn that through the results you've gotten. You earn that through your experience, through your degrees, through your certificates, through all these other things, right? And there's plenty of ways to earn it. You also can earn it through sales. Okay. You could be a really good salesperson with no experience, no expertise, and just sell the thing at a value and convince that person that's worth it. Now, you better damn well deliver on what you sold them. Okay. But there's plenty of ways to earn and build the value behind it. So cool. All right. Well, let's move on to your question. What do you got for us, pal?
Yeah, so most of mine actually comes from something we talked about in one of the sessions earlier this week, and kind of coming back from paternity leave and getting back into the swing of things. A couple of the things that I'm struggling with is, and that we've talked about a little bit, are looking at strict habits versus kind of finding that harmony and balance. And so as I'm getting back into, my regular habits and the things that, hey, I know these things make me a better, husband, father, but also business owner, where do I draw the line in, hey, this has to be done every day the exact same way, or, hey, I need to have a little bit of flexibility and grace with this. And do you guys think that could sometimes be a personality thing, or is that a little bit more of an absolute?
So I'm going to ask a question. These habits that you're talking about, how would you categorize them? Are they personal? Are they business related?
Personal. Yes, they are personal for the most
Okay,
part. I think that's
personal.
the foundation for me of, all right, got to take care of the personal.
Okay, so they're personal habits. So they're self-care habits. Their regular routine of you going to the gym, working out, eating right. These are the types of habits they are.
All of the above, yes.
Okay. And when you say draw the line between doing the habits and the other stuff, what are you really talking about? Is there a separation that's needed?
I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out is that a separation issue or is that a discipline issue?
Well, you're committed, right? Remember we talked about discipline being commitment and not obligation. And discipline, you're disciplined to have these self-care habits, but why do you have these self-care habits? What's the benefit of them? What's the purpose?
Because I know that it makes me better at my job and better for my family.
Okay. So because it makes you better at your job and better for your family, isn't it an essential part of your life harmony to continue to do those things? Right? They don't need to be separated. Everything just needs to be given its space and
Right.
its time for those things. Is it encroaching upon other time with your family or for the business or the other things you're trying to take care of? Or is it just part of what you do every single day?
I mean, I think for the most part, it's I try to make it part of what I do every single day, but then life happens, and I think it's with that life happens that okay, do I have the flexibility and say, all right, I'm going to put this to the side for today so that
Right.
I can focus on something else, whether that's family, business, wherever it may be.
So, okay, so that's where the conflict is coming in, right? Life happens and you may not get to all of your self-care routine for that day because life happened, because there was a part of your life that there was a little disjointedness in the harmony that was created. But that's the point of when we talk about harmony and creating a life work harmony as opposed to a balance, is we're not trying to give everything equal time every single day because life does happen. What we're trying to do is make sure that you are allowing for all of the key ingredients that you need for your day. You see, Kurt, I put a little chef thing in there. You key ingredients for your day to make up a life of harmony, to give you the space that you need to do all the things that you need to do. And you have to have flexibility. But because if you don't see everything as one thing has to be 5 hours, the other thing has to be 5 hours. If you see it as I have to just do this and then I can go on and do this. And if you start separating out these stringent restrictions that you may be placing upon it, you will probably have more harmony and be able to just say, okay, I'm just going to spend more time doing that tomorrow, or I'm going to push that off to tomorrow because I was not able to get to that today. Right. And not feel guilty about it, not feel bad about it. And that's where the harmony piece comes in, is that none of this should create a regret or a sensation of I didn't give everything the right amount of time that it needed to have. And guilt should not set in. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and for the most part, I'm gonna actually pull it back to something that I learned about Adam a little while ago. Is Adam, you don't drink, and that's pretty much a hard and fast rule. And kind of the difference in, hey, there are those hard and fast rules, and there are those things that you people have in their lives that are hard and fast rules. And then there are times where some other people might approach it as, hey, you know, I know that's not the best thing for my health or my well-being or something like that. So I'm going to limit it to certain situations. Um, so, almost that, strict adherence to something versus, having flexibility. And, I feel like sometimes it can go both ways. And
Well, so here's what I'll share with you, and not that it's related to the not drinking thing, because that's just who I am, right?
Mhm.
I made a choice after I had my second child, and I just decided that my life could be better, and then I proved to myself my life is better with this, and I really wasn't lacking anything. So it's not like, oh, I gave something up. I hang out with some of my friends and they get hammered drunk. This Saturday night, we're going to Manhattan for a steak dinner. There's going to be 9 hammered guys, and I'm going to drive 4 of them there. And if they want to stay there, I will leave without them. And I'm going to have a blast, and I won't feel like weird or awkward. They won't feel weird or awkward. And it's just, I have just a good, if not better time now that I don't do that. And I had priorities in my life. Okay. And this is where I'm dovetailing it into. Is you don't really have to be disciplined when you prioritize things. Okay. So here's how it works for me. Now, I'm definitely not telling anybody listening to this to adopt what I'm about to say, but these are my priorities. And Tom may say they're screwed up. You may say they're screwed up, but this is unfortunately, I didn't choose these priorities. These priorities chose me. So number 1 priority in my life is my wife and kids. Number 2 is my clients. Number 3 is Adam. And number 4 is my business. So what that means, Will, is if there's something that I am going to do for my business and my kids and my wife need it, they come before it. That gets put on the side. Sorry, business. Can't deal with that. If my business needs something, okay, but my clients, I have a meeting with them. Sorry, business, you got to wait. Clients come first. Okay. If my business needs something and I need to work out, sorry, business, you're going to wait because Adam needs to go work out. And those are my priorities. So wife and kids come first. Okay. Clients come second. Adam comes third. Business comes fourth. Now, most people would say you should put yourself first because you got to take care of all these other things. And I'm sure that works beautifully for some people. But for me, it doesn't. My kids come before everything. Okay. It just does. And then my clients, I just have this obligation to them that I put upon myself. They didn't ask me. I mean, they pay me for it, but they didn't ask me. They'd be like, hey, can you do that over taking care of your business and yourself? It's just how I operate. I didn't choose it. It's not like I'm going to make a decision to put these people first. I accepted who I am. And that's how I operate. Okay. But now what happens is I know my operating system. And based upon that, that's how I make decisions without guilt. Okay. So if I'm like, hey, I didn't go sit in the sauna for 22 minutes. Well, yeah, because my clients needed me and then my kids needed me. And it's like, all right, well, tomorrow I could do that because the kids are at school and I don't have any clients at that time. I can go and I'll get to it tomorrow. But I don't beat myself up about it because I know my priorities.
Right.
So what you have to do is set your priority list and have your own operating system, whatever works for Will, and screw everybody else. And don't listen to what me and Tom say, and don't listen to what your boss says, and don't listen to what your client. Find out what you need first and accept that, and then operate in that manner. And if it changes, that's okay too.
Yeah. I just want to acknowledge a comment in the audience that Christy is making: the daily non-negotiables versus the minimum.
Hold on there, Tom. Here you go. Watch this. Ready? Here we go.
Oh, what are we doing?
What do you mean? Same as I did with Will.
Oh,
Why won't you let me do it? I'm showing it on the screen.
I don't know. Oh, see, you're trying to be fancy.
Well, Tommy's came up on the screen, but not hers.
That's weird. All right. So Christy says daily non-negotiables versus minimum commitment to something each week or max of something per week, month, or year. And I think what she's really getting at there is that if you know your non-negotiables and then you tie in with what Adam just answered and you prioritize those non-negotiables, there we go. It allows you, to take care of the things that are non-negotiable first. And that should be where you create the flexibility. Because if you have 2 or 3 non-negotiables, like Adam has 4 non-negotiables, right? It's his family, it's his clients, it's him, and it's his business. And that's what we're talking about, is if you have those things, then you can prioritize the right way, and then you can execute and live the life of harmony without guilt and do exactly what you need to do. So thanks for that question. And thank you, Christy, for that comment.
Yeah, Christy's always good at adding little extra insight stuff. We appreciate you, Christy.
Absolutely. All right. So we want to take a question from the audience, Adam, that we have on school here.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. So I have him over here in front of me. Let me pull him over. All right, here we go. I'm gonna just give names and let's see who. Oh, what's going on with my weird computer here? I had it in front of me. All right. Let me go over here. All right. We already got something to Tommy. We have something to Christy. So we have one from Shell. And we have from Sam. Curt, which one? Shell or Sam?
Shell.
Shell. All right. So, Tom, I'm going to read it and you see where we go with this. So, Shell says, how many chances do you give a potential client if they no-show on a discovery call? So that's our first part. The follow-up question. Let's get to the first point before we get to the second point. So how many chances do you give a potential client if they're a no-show on a discovery call? What's your opinion on that?
I only give them one other chance. I'll reach out to them. Maybe they forgot. Maybe life happened. Something came up, and then I'll try to reschedule them. And if they can't reschedule after that, I don't continue any further.
Okay, not bad. So the way I look at this show is, did I really see value in that client or that prospect? Okay, so it depends how valuable it is. And you have to, when we're prospecting, in Project 2740, we teach about prospecting the right way and making sure that you're not just finding your target market, but you're finding the prospect and you're finding the reason you want to go with that prospect. And you should have a perceived value upon that person before you invite them into a discovery call. So now you would say, all right, well, how much is that follow-up worth? How many more chances do I give them? So for instance, Tom and I have a prospect that will probably do an $80,000 program with us. And it was a referral, and our client referred him to us, sent an email, and we got no response. We asked the client to follow up with an email CCing us, and then we got no response. Then I followed up with an email. We got no response. And then I called the client back and said, hey, your buddy, we haven't heard back from him. What do you think? And he's like, oh, there's some holidays and this stuff. And then maybe he's not. So I'm like, all right, I'll follow up by this day. Then Tom's like, hey, are we going to follow up with this guy? And we followed up. Okay. And then he finally got back to us. And what did he say to us, Tom?
He said that would be great. Let's get something on the calendar for next week.
And then what did we do?
I reached back out and said, can you make this day at this time?
Yeah. So now we're going to go out and have a dinner with them. Okay. And we're going to propose him on something that he'll spend $80,000 with us. Okay. So is that worth us following up? Now, I know you're talking about a discovery call. So let's take it a step further. Now, imagine we booked that lunch and he didn't show up. Tom, would we follow up with him?
Probably not. That would be my gut.
You think if he didn't show up to the lunch with us, we wouldn't follow up with him?
Well, we might follow up, make sure he was okay.
Yeah, I would 100% be following up.
Okay.
100. Okay, I'll give you a better example, Tom. We sold another person a program and they didn't pay us. Did we follow up with them?
Yes, we did.
Did they show up to the first meeting?
No, they didn't. But they showed up to the second. Yep, we followed up and they came to the second.
Okay, and that's someone who pays us $80,000.
Yep.
Okay, so we're following up. Now, your follow-up to this is, should a discovery call always be free? Are there times when it's appropriate to charge a nominal fee that gives someone a taste of what they get once they work with you? So here's the thing. Why are you charging them a tiny little bit, a tiny little piece, if you already know what they're worth and what you're worth? So what I'm getting at here is you have to really not just be setting up random meetings, be setting up with worthwhile meetings. And then you will determine how much time, effort, and energy it is worth following up, even if they didn't show up. Okay. So Tom, when we have those clients, what kind of communication do they get before our meetings?
They get reminders via email and text.
Right. So we're spending time and money and energy following up with them, making sure they're going to be there, doing all those things. Okay. So where this is really coming down to is you have to know what it's worth. And if it's worthless, then no, don't follow up. Okay. That's fine. But they shouldn't have been there in the first place because you're worth something.
Right.
Now that is going to happen here and there, but if it's happening repetitively, you are setting up these discovery calls with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what it really speaks to. Is it the right person for you? Is this the right? And listen, I always say, give it away for free. Have that discovery call for free. Yes, it occupies time in your calendar, but it is valuable time if you make the sale. And if you don't make the sale, you find ways to follow up and make a sale. So, it's all about how you look at it. I would not charge somebody for that, just to answer that part of the question. That's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and Shell's responding. She's live in here with us. It's not all the time. It's not an all the time occurrence. And that's great.
That's good. But that's going to happen.
But then what was their value? Like, what did you perceive their value? And if you perceived it to be valuable, you would then follow up, right? And you wouldn't have to think about that. You just know, of course I'm going to follow up. It's valuable. Or it's not valuable. Of course I'm not going to follow up.
And if it does become more of an occurrence and you're identifying the right people, we've even had situations where we've filled out to meet with somebody, and there's a question in there that says, will you meet with me at this time? Are you absolutely sure you can meet with me at this time, because my time is valuable and this is your one chance to meet with me? So if you put some emphasis, that's another way of vetting how committed that person is to the conversation. So you want to make sure that you can do a secondary approach to that by asking that question when they book your appointment on your Calendly or whatever service that you use.
And I'll give this one last piece of advice. You have to know what your CAC is, CAC, your client acquisition cost. Okay. So every single person that's ever become a client of yours costs something. Okay. And you have to quantify what that cost is. So for some people, it's advertising dollars. For other people, it's paying for a lead. For some people, it's setting up this free discovery call. Then there's also follow-up and research, and you have to understand what is the cost. Now, if you're just doing these discovery calls, hopefully you have an hourly wage for yourself set. So Tom and I charge $750 an hour. Okay, that's what we charge. Okay, so if we're going to spend 2 hours doing a call, okay, we just spend $1,500. Okay, so if we're not going to get a return on that investment, that's not worth it. Now, here's the thing. Imagine we spent $750 on a discovery call. And we did 10 of those, and it cost us $7,500. Okay. And now only one of them closed, but they closed an $80,000 program. That's a 10x return on our investment. So for us, that's a good use of our time. So would I follow up with those people who didn't show up? Yeah, because I know the potential is selling them an $80,000 program. Okay. So you have to understand what your CAC is. And then if you've gone beyond that, okay, and the way you can do that is start looking at how long has it taken you, or how much money have you spent acquiring these other clients, and then use that as your model to say how much you'll spend time or money on future prospects. So client acquisition cost, you really have to understand that. All right, Tom, I think we've gone over what we normally did, but before we go, I just want to ask Curt and Will, we try to do this. So we're going to ask each of you guys, what is your favorite thing or the best part of Project 2740 and what you're getting out of it? So let's go with Will first. So Will, what is something here that you found to be beneficial, you like, whether it's with us, the community, the class, anything about it? What is your interpretation of where the value is for Will, not necessarily for anybody else?
I think the big value to me is that it is a complete program. So it is looking at the whole, business owner. It's looking at the whole person. So, there are times where we're going to, we can have a conversation and we can talk about something very specific to business, and then turn around and talk about something specific to our personal lives. And, but for everybody out there, those two play into each other and contribute to each other a lot. So it's not so specific. It kind of covers the whole person and addresses whatever needs business owners have.
I appreciate it. So, it's amazing when we ask these questions, Tom and I reflect on it and we start learning more about our own program. So we appreciate when you guys are telling us stuff, because we don't get a chance to see it. It's kind of like what we do for coaching, right? You might not see what we see. So we appreciate that back too, Curt. Will. All right, Curt. So what about you?
This group sucks.
Well, thanks for tuning into another episode.
Well, no, two things. So one, everybody in the group is like-minded. We all want the same thing, which is to grow and to learn. And so it's everybody is of one mind, so to speak. So in terms of the group, I like that very much. And actually, everybody is just the chemistry between everybody. Everybody, like, I could imagine, like, if we all met up somewhere and had a bite to eat, I'm sure I'd enjoy myself. Whereas some groups, you're like, that dude's cool, but this, I don't know, she's kind of a schmuck, or everybody in the group is, I enjoy talking to them. And as far as you guys, I'd say other than the obvious fact that you guys make it clear you're here for our support, just helping us get out of our own way is probably the biggest thing.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I think plagues everybody who's starting something.
Man, I'll tell you, it's a good observation about the community, because we find that many times the community itself helps others get out of their own way. And it may be through some things that they were sharing or being vulnerable enough to say, or, maybe some advice that Tom shared with them that then helps someone else do that. And then we see a lot of times this conversation between two people. So yeah, I would definitely agree with the community aspect of it. It's, we're very lucky to have all of you in our community because you really make this thing awesome. So we appreciate it as much as Curt says it sucks. We appreciate how awesome it is.
Yep, we do.
We'll fire. I mean, there's going to be a day Curt will leave, and I promise you guys, it'll all be much better. Just kidding, Curt. Love you.
Yeah, like today I did a Zoom call with Claire. Last week I did a Zoom call with what's his name? Carson.
There you go.
There you go. Awesome.
All right, Tommy. So we're going to jump into our private session with our community, and we do that right after the podcast. So if you are a part of Project 2740, you get some additional time with Q&A with Tom and I. And of course, we have our daily sessions that we're doing. So if you're interested in finding out more about it, go to atomicbusinesscoaching.com and click the Project 2740 tab, or hit me up on LinkedIn. You can find me at Adam Thomas. And there's plenty of ways to view all the stuff about our program, set up appointments with me and all that good stuff. So thanks so much. We will see you next week.
See you next time.